Star Trek the original series graced its way onto our TV screens back in 1966, and since then has seen multiple successes in different types of mediums. It actually didn't take long for the show to receive its first big screen outing. On December 6, 1979, Robert Wise's Star Trek the Motion Picture was released to a wide audience. It managed to make $139 million at the box office with a budget of $44 million. The film was met with mixed reviews, with some saying it was too far of a departure from the old color reputation it held up to that point. I'm here to look at the film's use of color and see if the film is truly deprived of that said color. It's no secret the original show was very vibrant and colorful. NBC knew that it was becoming more apparent that televisions with color were becoming the new norm. It was because of this color craze of the 1960s, Star Trek the original series was going to utilize color in its fullest potential. The uniforms were made up of three colors: red for tactical, blue for science, and yellow for your leadership/piloting. The Enterprise bridge was made up of flashing colorful buttons and with a flowing red lightning throughout the room. The planets they would explore would be made up of bright, colorful sets made of blue, green, red, yellow, and purple. It was all to give the viewer a sense of amazement and wonderment, as if to say, our future is bright. Star Trek the Motion Picture decides to ditch all that, going for more stagnant colors. In place of red, blue, and yellow uniforms, we get white, gray, and tan uniforms. Same applies to the Enterprise bridge, with it ditching any high contrasting colors and instead oddly goes for the same tan, gray, and white. The film uses this in an attempt to depart itself from its previous colorful self in an effort to portray a more serious feel for the film. Out with our fun and campy science fiction and in with our more bleak and beige future. It offers a less friendly feel to any previous fans, and its changes to the uniforms quickly alienates itself from the rest of the franchise. That's not to say the film is entirely deprived of color. The bridge's dashboards are filled with vibrant, lit-up buttons and is used in its advantage in the film's wormhole sequence, which is composed of changing shades of dark red. Though they do stay aboard the ship throughout the duration of the film, the filmmakers do try and make an attempt to create that old wonder that 60s show had. They also rainbow color the warp travel effects. Warp travel is never seen in the original show, which is something they actually opt out in later films. The film oozes with darker shades of green and blue throughout. When in outer space, the Earth is depicted as the only blue planet, while the rest of the planets are depicted as brown and gray. This is to stand us out from the rest of the universe. When the Enterprise encounters an entity by the name of V'ger, the colors on screen are made up of green and primarily shades of blue. In the climax of the film, we're told that V'ger actually came from Earth itself 300 years ago. This could have been foreshadowing on the filmmaker's part to hint at the entity's origin. When the Enterprise enters the entity, it becomes trapped inside the ship and is entirely submerged in striking shades of light blue. This could be interpreted in many ways. On one hand, the imagery could be a reference to naval ships sailing the sea, since Star Trek is famous for taking inspiration from military drama, specifically films that depict submarine battles. On the other hand, this could be a sense of irony, as blue is usually associated with the feeling of calm and tranquility, a feeling opposite to what the crew of the Enterprise, and us as the audience, is feeling. Purity, virginity, and lust seems to be a running theme in the film. When we're introduced to Lieutenant Ilia, she immediately announces her celibacy and is the only being shown without hair, as to alienate her from the rest of the cast. She isn't given much in terms of character development, aside from being a former lover to Commander Decker. She's quickly killed off in the film's second act and is then replaced with an android. The faux Ilia sporting a short white blouse with pink inner lining on the collar. This is one of the few instances one could tell that the filmmakers were giving the color white a purpose. The white on her is to represent her purity/virginity, and the pink is supposed to reinforce her femininity. In one of the final sequences of the film, the color red is used in a very interesting way. Decker is always shown gazing at faux Ilia, and in the end we discover that V'ger wants to merge with its creator in a very literal way. We see that Decker is more than willing to take one for the team on that. In the events leading up to the merger, the entire scene is lit up to dark shades of red. Red is often used to convey two different emotions. It can be used to shower the feeling of violence in a scene, or it can be used to set a lustful interaction between characters. In the film's case, it makes us as the audience feel Decker's long-awaited lust for Ilia. Eventually they merge into one in a beam of bright glowing white and create a new life form together, ending the film's climax. In conclusion, on December 6, 1979, Robert Wise's Star Trek the Motion Picture was released to a wide audience. It may have been stagnant compared to its predecessors, but it's clear that the color use was there. They made an attempt to create a sense of amazement and wonderment for the viewer. Next, they used color to make possible references to inspirations and use it as a foreshadowing device. Finally, they used Western color theory to reinforce emotions for our characters and us as the audience. The film might not be a rainbow when compared to its old series, but I would argue that this is the only film in the franchise to give meaning to its color usage.